How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm glad we're finally doing this. This is great. I love that there's goats. They're quiet. I thought they'd be more noisy.
I know they didn't have babies yet.
What if they have babies? They're noisier.
Yeah, because there would be a lot more action going on
Got it.
if there
Okay.
were babies. Like right now
Got it.
they're fighting actually. Right
Amazing.
now,
Great.
yeah.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Clean Break, a podcast dealing with art and business powered by Always Art. I'm your host, Matt Gondek.
Finally, this is awesome. I love that there's so many animals. There's never been animals on the podcast forever. I think sometimes there's a cat running around it, but you don't really hear it. But this is
Yeah.
amazing because it ties into your work, and this is great. Uh, we've actually did an interview before, but it got lost in the sands of time. And I told you, I told you to your face that you were my favorite person I've ever interviewed. So I'm glad we're finally redoing it, and it's gonna be on the podcast.
You have to get
Oh,
used to that.
no, it's amazing. How are you? How are you? It looks really cold there.
It's pretty cool. It's actually not. It's -10, so I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. That's Celsius.
Okay.
We had a big snowstorm today and the past couple of days, so it's like probably about this much snow.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
the camera
For
whipped
everyone
right now.
listening, where are you? For everyone
Uh,
listening.
so I'm 3 hours north of Toronto,
Okay, got
Kemble.
it. So 3 hours north of Toronto, Canada. What's it
Yeah,
called?
it's called Kemble.
Kemble. And how many people live there?
I think like 10 people.
For real?
Yeah, it's a hamlet. I think there is a little town. Okay, let's say 100 people, but it's no more than
Okay.
100 people.
So where do you get like groceries and everything?
You just drive 20 minutes and there's a city called Owen Sound.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. It's just like this section is very small and it's just farmers basically.
Got it. Got it. Okay, cool. Just real quick, for everyone that's only listening to this like on a podcast, like an audio, you really need to just go on YouTube and watch the video because Sage is sitting in her barn and there's goats and there's dogs running around and it's incredible. I can't see any goats on the screen. Maybe there's one in the back there, but this is awesome. You use a lot of animals in your work, so let's kick this off. Sorry, I'm just so fascinated with the animals. I love animals.
Do you want me to
What?
put some food right here so they go here?
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of.
Okay, I'm gonna
All
do that.
right. Okay.
1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Um, Let me just think. Okay, I'll just put some hay so they don't fight. We might get some goat fights in the background.
Amazing.
When I was in here testing
Actually, that's
it,
probably not good, is it? It's not good if they fight.
oh, it's fine. They
Okay.
actually, it's pretty normal for them to fight. Um,
They do like the headbutting thing, right?
exactly. Like, it's just in their nature to
Okay.
wrestle each other, so they're not actually angry or anything.
Got it. Okay.
Just I'll try a little bit of food, so it's not like insane. And we'll see. Okay.
I don't know
The
why
issue,
I thought, well, they're running around. I don't know why
yeah,
I thought the food would be like kibble or something, but yeah, it's what is it, like hay?
yeah. I also have
Okay.
pellets, but they don't like the pellets as much as the hay.
Got
So
it.
I figured.
What's a pallet?
Oh, pellets, like kibble, basically.
Oh,
Goat
pallet,
kibble.
pallet. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Make sure. Yeah, then
Cool.
they're in the background more.
Very
Let me
cool.
know if this one like comes up to me. 'Cause he might try and headbutt me.
Okay. You can't see yourself? Oh, you're on your phone,
I
aren't
can,
you?
yeah,
All
I
right,
can
I'll
kind
let
of
you
see.
know. It's
Okay.
all good. So getting to your work. So how would you describe the type of artwork you do for everyone listening or watching?
I would describe it as performance that I kind of shoehorn into photography. So
Okay.
I think a lot of it happens behind the scenes, but the photograph is kind of like one moment. I also do like composites as well, so it's a combination of like photography and also composites, kind of confusing. Yeah.
What's composite mean?
Like so in one photo I had like five of me layered in
Oh, got it.
like a prairie scene basically. But most of the time it's
Got,
not like that.
okay, got it. I noticed like a lot of your more recent stuff. I mean, the stuff I just look at on Instagram, like it's more like a performance. Like the I really enjoyed you're dressed like an 80s housewife and you're like digging your own grave with a backhoe or something.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. I don't know. I really liked your work before I met you because like just for we'll put up some work here so people can see it. But like if you photograph yourself completely covered in moss, like you're in these frozen ponds completely covered in trash. Oh, I
Yeah.
mean, you can speak on it more eloquently than I can, but it's really good work. And then when I met you, you're just so fascinating. I love it. It's great. Like I feel this is a compliment 100%. I just feel like you're like a real artist. Like you do this very unique thing and like how much time you spend getting everything ready to get the shots that you're making and like it's really incredible. So I just wanted to make sure that we got you back on the podcast because like I said this earlier for everyone listening. I actually interviewed you live during a mural festival in Toronto, but they lost the footage, so I never got to use it for anything.
Yeah, that killed me.
Really?
I
Yeah, because
thought I did
you drove
so
the whole way
well on
there.
that.
You
Yeah.
did. It was amazing. Yeah. I interviewed you and three other artists and they're all gone. I don't have any of it. So
Oh, that sucks.
sucks. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about okay, so we kind of laid the foundation of the kind of work you do. Um maybe we could start with like I put up your work on the screen here. How you got started all this. I think when I interviewed you the last time, you said it kind of all got started because you were trying to impress a boy or something.
Oh
Is that
yeah.
true?
Yes.
And maybe
So,
that's not you don't have to that's what I remember you saying, but like how did you get started with everything?
well, I got into photography because I was photographing an Instagram model. So
Uh-huh.
she took me to Iceland and also to LA, and we did a couple of shoots. And I came back, and I just didn't like I stuck out like a sore thumb in that kind of scene. So I had my
Mhm.
camera, and I like had a kind of a skill set. But then I met a guy who was like a fashion photographer, and I basically like we were dating, and I would just riff off of whatever he was making, and I would almost like
Okay.
competitively try and like one up him. And it became like kind of a competition between us where if he had like some fire in a shot, then oh yeah, well, I was in Alberta and I would do like something even bigger. And yeah, so I was just trying to impress him.
Got it. When did you start realizing that other people were taking interest in your work or like how like I mean it's fun to make things with like a friend like that, but then how did people start getting noticed or how did people start taking notice of your work?
Yeah, so I was just posting it online, and my mom entered me into a competition for a free booth at an art fair in Toronto called Artist
Mhm.
Project, and I got the booth. So then I printed my photos probably for the first time in 2018, and I put them up,
Okay.
and they just happened to use one of them as one of their advertising pieces for their subway ads, which was
Uh-huh.
really like crazy because it went from being this, tiny little square on a screen to, I don't know, like 3 feet by 6 feet.
Mhm.
Um, so that was how it got started. And yeah, it had really good, people bought stuff, which was shocking to me because I thought it was not sellable. But
What pieces were in that first show?
uh,
What was the ad which photo did they use that was the ad?
so it's my profile photo of my Instagram. It's the candle head photo. It's got a red background, and then I'm just
Yeah.
covered in candle wax. That was
Okay.
everywhere. And someone actually complained about it to the to our subway system, saying it was
Why?
sexist because they thought it was
It's it's a little sexual.
yeah,
Like it looks like cum. I'll just say it.
bukkake. I
Yeah,
know. That's what I thought when I first took it. I'm like, I'm not posting this. This is disgusting.
but it's a
And then
candle. It's very clearly a candle. It's just suggestive.
yeah, exactly. So some people see that. I'm one of them. Some people don't see that at all.
Yeah.
So I guess the people who are curating the ads just didn't notice that.
Did you know that going in that like I mean I think you just said it, but did you know that people might think that when they saw the photo? Were you just like this is a cool idea. I'm gonna melt a candle over me and take a photo?
Yeah, I didn't expect it to look like cum. It
Yeah,
just did. And yeah, so it was a surprise. But I think it took a couple months before I posted it because I kind of had to think of whether or not I actually wanted to release that to the world. But enough people
got
don't
it.
see it that it's all right.
Okay, fair enough. You said people were buying things at the show. What were they buying? The prints?
Yeah, so they bought prints. They bought the Candlehead one. I mean, I had a whole bunch of work. So I don't remember 2018 what I had. Like a flaming bouquet one.
Hmm.
I don't know if you're putting stuff on the screen or not, but basically anything from 2018 to no 2017 to 2018 is when when I first printed.
Got it.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool. I wanted to talk about how much work goes into these shots that you like the setup for your shots. Like you told me before, like there's certain shots where to me just on my Instagram, I look and like you're in a lake and you have like a dress made out of trash, but you're like to get that shot, I was out there at 3 in the morning, I was collecting trash for months, or you have the shots where you're standing with all the geese and like I had to take that shot 500 times. Like, can you just maybe go into a little bit about how much work goes into these photographs you're taking?
yeah, it's kind of insane. I would say it can take almost a full month of work, especially when I was younger and had the time. Um, so I would go out, for instance, there's one with these two swans. I would go out probably 3 times a week at about 4 in the morning. And this was in April, so it was snowing. And I would just like hang out with them, get to know them, shoot the photos. I probably took thousands of photos with them, and then had several different costume iterations. A lot of it was like figuring out what time the animals are most like receptive to interacting with humans. Because if you go later in the day, they're not interested. But if you're the only person who shows up, they're super friendly. They're like a different person almost. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, it's a lot of like trial and error. I would say I reshoot everything at least 3 times before I get something that I'm happy with. And that can include like costume changes. It can include just complete like rewrites, but it's always centered around something, usually an object that I found.
And you
It's
said most of the time you're going out and doing this yourself, right? Like it's hard
yeah.
to convince anyone to go out with you that early to do this stuff.
Yeah, so I do almost exclusively with a tripod and I'll use my phone and I'll just like compose it basically on my phone and then like if I'm in the water or something, I'll figure out a way to mark where I'm going to stand. So I'll put like a rock or something, practice going in and out, and then it's just continuous shutter. So it's like continuously taking photos. So I can go for maybe 30 seconds to a minute where I run in, I pose, try and make sure everything's working properly. I have to come out, check my camera, do it again and again. So yeah,
That
labor.
sounds that sounds like so much extra work.
I know that's why I'm starting to do video.
That's why. But what are you gonna? I mean, how would you make those sellable if they're video?
Yeah, that's the issue. So the way I'm thinking about it is for me, I could make some really cool short-ish videos that are almost like marketing for the prints.
Hmm.
I'd like to get into installation, but I find like the galleries are or my gallery is hesitant for me to like suddenly switch from a flat medium to something that's three-dimensional, like completely. So the video is a nice transition where I can kind of explain things visually. I don't know how I'd display it in a gallery, but I know how I'd display it online and
Yeah.
bring people to see the show because they'll have an appreciation. And once you get there, you go from again like a tiny screen to something that's really big and detailed.
Yeah.
Um, so that's where I see the value of video. And it's not extra work anyway because it's just recording what I'm already doing.
Yeah, absolutely. The uh the other one, the newer one you have where you're sitting on top of a fence and you shoot the shotgun and fall off. I don't know, your work just appeals. I just really like your work a lot.
Thank
And
you.
just meeting you, I don't know, I just keep giving you a call. I'm sorry. What kind of cameras do you use for everybody listening? Because everyone always asks that kind of stuff, so I always forget to ask.
Yeah, it's funny. That honestly does not even, in my opinion, it doesn't matter because when I started, I used a Sony Sony AR Ace. I was a Sony A7R3.
Uh-huh.
But when I started, I used one that was meant for video, and its megapixel count was less than like an iPhone, and we were still able
Oh,
to blow up the images huge. Like it doesn't
okay.
matter a lot, I find. So I agree with you. Like
Yeah,
I always
that's
tell people, just go shoot.
no, you're absolutely right because I think people like they see something and they think that they'll be as good as you are if they have the same equipment you have. And it's like, I mean, I personally use like the cheapest, shittiest paintbrushes I can find because I run through them so quickly. Why would I spend the money? But everyone's like, "Oh, what brush do you use?" Like, it has nothing to do with the materials. It's just the time investment.
Yeah, exactly. Like in a lot of my lighting is IKEA lamps and stuff. Like I didn't have flashes.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And animals are obviously a big part of your work. I mean, you must be. Is that your husband in a lot of your work? That like the images like I think there's a goat on top of a car and there's a guy in the car.
yeah.
Okay, is he like into and what does he do?
Well now he works for a hedge fund, so
Got
we're well
it.
off. Um,
Good for him.
so yeah, so when we moved in, he was like the driver of keeping the goats, I would say, because I
Okay.
thought as I was intimidated by the commitment of time, because
Uh
I
huh.
have family, my family lives all over the place, so I was worried about traveling to see them, taking care of these guys. So yeah, I would say like the goats are his project, and
Okay.
he's he prides himself on like work. He works in downtown Toronto half the week, and then he comes up and he's like shoveling goat shit, and it gives him I don't know, it just makes him feel happy.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to get away from the city, isn't it? You're
Yeah,
there all the
and
time, though, right?
yeah, so I'm alone
Okay.
half the week.
Got it. With your ghosts, coming up with concepts. Well, what are you working on right now? Like, you're moving more towards like performance and everything. So, what are you working on currently?
I'm working on, so I have a solo exhibition in May in Toronto at Rukai Gallery, and I'm just taking all of my photos, basically starting from now to I think April is when I can stop taking photos.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm doing everything based on the property, and I'm combining a lot of the skills I've learned. This has been very difficult moving up here. Like the place was derelict when we moved in. So I
Hmm.
relied a lot on my grandparents because they were farmer people, their skill set. So I'm incorporating a lot of like visual embroidery styles and stuff from my grandparents' culture into my work for this show. And it's
Uh
gonna have a
huh.
lot of animals and yeah, and ice sculptures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm trying
Are
to
you
make
carving them
some.
yourself?
Yeah,
Amazing.
chainsaw.
So, really,
Yeah, I use a chainsaw.
Jesus Christ, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You're gonna try to. What? I mean, like, they must just be there for the show. They're gonna be indoors.
Oh, the goats
No,
are
the
gonna
ice
be.
sculpture, the ice
Oh, yes,
sculptures.
yes. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm carving like a life-size version of my husband out of ice and putting it in the bed. And then this is gonna be a sick video, I think. I'm gonna like hug it and it's gonna melt. And as it's melting, like you'll see a time lapse of it just like turning into water. It's gonna be weird. I'm excited for that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Amazing. So this show you have, so was the gallery like, just give us photographs because we can actually sell those? And then you came back like, I want to do more like performance. I want to do these videos. And what did they say? Was there like
Well,
a
okay.
conversation there?
Yeah, so there's two guys basically. It's a father and a son. The father is very traditional. The son is 24, so he's like more open to new things. He kind of gets
Uh
social
huh.
media and like video. So yeah, it's like a combination of we're gonna have like really traditional prints and then um I don't think they might have like one video in the gallery, but we're gonna try to experiment maybe with projections for marketing the show, projecting onto buildings and things like that.
Uh huh.
And then also having two installations. So I am getting installations done. So
Okay,
excited.
got it. Are you also selling prints yourself, or you just strictly work with galleries?
Um, right now I'm strictly working with the gallery. Yeah, I used to sell
Okay.
work all by myself, which was actually really good. Like that was it worked well. I paid my rent. Like I was full time doing that
Are
before
you
I
not
went to
doing
a
that
big
now?
company. I would say now it's more like a combination of prizes, grants, and print sales have, I would say, I don't know if I should say this, but they've gone down because the price has gone up. Um,
Okay.
so I guess technically, I would say my revenue is less on prints now than it was before because we're in this transition period where the price is like gone up twice as much.
Got it. I mean, it's been a really weird time for artists clear across the board right now anyway. Like I had dinner with a gallery owner last night and he was saying that their sales were down for last year. Most artists are currently, so I don't think it's you. And I mean like, it's I remember having this thought like at one point, like my prices had doubled, and I was like, there was that lull where I wasn't selling as much. But I do think you need to do that kind of stuff because, like, I don't know how much your prices are, but let's just say your prints used to be like $100 Canadian. That's great, but like, it's better for you to raise your prices than sell $100 prints for the rest of your life. So you do have to make those like risky maneuvers. So that's awesome. You're doing it. What other question? I had another question about prints, but I guess not. That's fine. So you're also making money off grants too.
Yeah,
It's easier to make. It's easy. There's more grant opportunities in Canada than America. I think. I think
really.
I'm guessing. I never applied for a grant. I had someone on here recently. This artist Jessica. She had a really good grant. It was a lot of money. But how many grants do you go after? How many do you get that
Um,
you apply for?
I don't know. I think I've probably get like 10% of what I apply for.
Oh,
And so, like a good one for Canada, there's the Canada Council grants, and I got a $25,000 grant from that. Um, so I get some of those, and then most of the time you get like smaller, like $1,200 grants and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
Um, so you kind of have to be really good at like taking a project and just slightly tweaking it and like putting it out really efficiently. Otherwise, you'd be just writing your entire life in order to get grants. And then last year, I won $100,000 art prize, which was really, really good.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
incredible. That was a
yeah,
contest.
yeah. It was art comp. It's like
What
nobody
wa-
knows about it.
what was
Um,
the piece you had that won?
it was called Urban Bath. It's the two swans, and then I've got the forks and spoon outfit, and it's got a blue background.
Okay, got it. That's incredible. Jesus,
Yeah,
good for you.
yeah. I was
That's
happy about
have you ever worked with anyone to help you get these grants? Because like I had a guy on here recently that you can hire him and help you. He's been doing it since the '80s and he helps artists write their grants. But it sounds like you just do it yourself.
Yeah, I like the practice of writing, but I can understand why you do that. Um, I've had a company approach me to like pitch their services, but I've never taken it up. So
Got it. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I suppose.
I don't even like get anyone to proofread them, which I
You
probably
just shoot it
should.
out.
Yeah,
You could use AI now to like I use AI, I use ChatGPT, like I'll write emails and everything, but I'll just say proofread this and copy paste it. And they'll be like, oh, you spelled this wrong or whatever. I just use that now. That's pretty helpful. Do you have any
I'm gonna
advice
try
for
that.
people that are listening about how to apply for grants? Like I don't even have the first idea. I've never tried it. Like you just find them online and you submit, but I'm sure there's like a way
Y-
to make yourself more appealing, right?
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Make yourself more appealing. Okay. I think there are a lot of boxes that you need to. You don't want to pander. I hate pandering, but you kind of have to learn how to understand their expectations and like that they have a certain social agenda or whatever that they need to fulfill. And then you try and like take that and just interpret it as like genuinely as possible, um, so that you still show that you're supporting their like mission statement. I know it's the same thing in the sciences where like they'll support certain social causes or social like I don't want to say social agenda, but yeah, you do need to learn how to tick some boxes. That's
Mm-hmm.
super important. And also just learning how to write really well and clearly and not use the very like frilly art language that I think a lot of people use in their artist statements. Like If you have
to try to
short,
sound
concise,
important.
yeah, like take the commas out and have like short, concise, clear sentences, and it kind of like removes the like unease that juror or whatever, a jury person would have reading your application. They want to read it
Yeah.
quickly and understand it.
Yeah, and especially you said something I think is really important, and I just like kind of applied it to something I get a lot. Whereas because of this podcast, I get lots of DMs from artists that want to be on the podcast, and it's so annoying because like the DM will just it's very much like, hey Matt, help me, like let me be on your podcast, but they don't ever say I want to be on the podcast because I could tell your listeners how I started a successful t-shirt company or how I got successful earning grants. They don't ever say that stuff. They just want me to help them. But I am much more responsive to the ones where like the person will say, hey, can I be on your podcast? I think I have this value to offer. And it sounds like that's what you're doing when you're applying for these grants. You're kind of you're reading what they want and you're trying to apply and like write so that they're benefiting if they work with you.
Exactly. Like you have to have some kind of value to add other than just needing
Yeah.
money.
Do you went to school for animation, right?
Yeah.
You have a bachelor's in animation.
Yeah, I used to draw.
How I still do. How did you become you? I mean, what happened?
Okay, so
Like
like
I know
my
you
dad,
told us about competing with the guy. I get that, but like
yeah.
what happened? Like sorry
Well,
to interrupt.
I think that so my dad was like a gadget lover growing up. So he would buy
Mm-hmm.
all these cameras and then never use them, and I used them. So I had a familiarity with cameras. Um, but in animation, like I don't know if the listeners know, but there's stop motion, which is it's like sculptures, like 3D sculptures that you just literally animate with a camera. So
Yeah.
I was really into that. And so um, from there, just working, yeah, my first job in photography was working online for the Instagram model photographing. So that was kind of, it was just like a vague familiarity with cameras and interpersonal skills to be able to hang out with someone for days on end on shoots, basically, is how I
Yeah.
started.
When's the last time you animated something?
Uh, I want to do it again, but I think several years ago. Um, yeah, I can't remember the last thing I animated.
Oh, it's been a while, huh? It'd
Yeah,
be cool to like integrate that with your work.
I kind of sucked at it. But I had a really good teacher in one like workshop,
Oh,
which
I think
was
they're fighting.
actually, yeah, they are fighting. So I wish they had kids. Um, I had a really good teacher for like one of my classes who just, wait, now I'm just rambling. Sorry. The question was,
Just
what was
when
the
the last time you
question?
animated? I asked you when you animated, and I asked you if maybe sometime you could incorporate it with your work. And then
Yeah,
the ghosts
I would,
started fighting. We got sidetracked.
this guy might come after me. We'll see. He likes
All right, I'm
cuddles,
watching
and
him.
if I don't pet him, then I'm watching you too. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so yeah, it would be good to incorporate animation, especially now with video coming back into my
Yeah,
work. So
yeah. There was a minute there when like NFTs were really popular, and you could have sold video. I mean, you still can. It's a harder sell than it would have been 2 years ago.
yeah,
Maybe it'll come back.
yeah, hopefully.
I guess yeah. I mean, I'm sure it will. Everything has cycles. Let's talk about your residency you did in Japan too, because like no offense, but you haven't been doing your work that long. Like you said, you really got started 2018. That's 6 years ago. That's a short amount of time, and I do think you deserve it. You're like one of my favorite artists. I keep saying dumb stuff and embarrassing myself, but like so you definitely deserve everything you have. But like, how did you get that residency so quickly?
Dude, I paid for that. It's you could
Oh,
apply. Like, or obviously
oh,
you could
so,
get in. I'm saying like a random person might be able to get in if their work's cool, I think.
uh-huh. So you just
But
went to
also
Japan. I thought someone like paid for you to go to Japan.
no. But my teacher who his name is Matt Forsyth, he did the residency and I kind of got it through him. So I don't know if I didn't have that reference, if I would have gotten it, to be honest. But
Oh,
it was I
okay,
paid for it was cheap, but I did pay. Like it wasn't I didn't
okay.
get paid for that. Yeah.
So you didn't have any like they didn't. There's no requirements for you to go over there or do anything. You just went over there and did everything,
They
right?
they had a proposed like I had to submit a proposal and then have kind of an exhibition at the end of it, but it was pretty loose. Yeah.
Okay. The photo of you where you're in the tub and you're in the bathroom, was that actually where you were staying?
So that photo, the place I was staying, it was an old bathhouse. So like
Yeah.
I guess they had like all of these tiny little bathrooms, but I thought bathhouses were supposed to be shared spaces. So I don't know. But yeah, so that was the bathroom of where I was staying for 3 months.
Got it. I love that photo because, I mean, I'm an American and I'm used to having big space because everything's big here. And then when I first started traveling over the world, I realized that like, oh, there's small things. Uh, and the one time I was in Hong Kong and I had this hotel room that I couldn't even like lay down. I mean, I could lay down one way, but I couldn't lay down the other way. The room was so small. And that bathroom just reminded me of that because like I'll put it up on the screen here for everybody watching. It's just you're in a very tiny tub in a very tiny bathroom, and I think that's incredible. Have you done any other residencies besides that, or I guess paid trips? Have you went anywhere else to shoot?
I wasn't able. I want to apply to more, but it's kind of hard because they have all these animals now.
Hmm.
So no, not really. Um, yeah, no, actually, that was the only one I've done because that was
Okay.
2019, and then the pandemic happened and we
Couldn't
moved
you?
here.
Do they have like goat babysitters or like pet sitters or something? You could like have someone come watch them or something.
Yeah, I think with my dogs it would be difficult because I actually run them. They're sled dogs, so they need to
Oh,
run like 80 kilometers a week ideally.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you have one of
So
those things you ride on, like the sled that you ride on?
I'm using skis right now. So when I get more of them, I'll definitely be using a sled.
That's
But
amazing.
now I use, yeah, and an ATV as well, which is pretty cool to look at because we go on the
Got
road.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Do you like living there? That's not a dig. Such a different lifestyle than how I live. I live in downtown LA. There's buildings fucking everywhere. I never see any animals. I'd never see it go. Do you love it there? Because like I think it would freak me out if I lived out there. I'm from the country. Like I grew up in the woods, but I
Yeah.
also was the kind of person that I wanted to get out of there as soon as I could. I'm just like a city person.
Yeah. I think for me, it was sometimes I kind of hate it because it's very isolating. But I am definitely overstimulated by noise. So the city was very stressful for me. Uh,
Got it.
yeah, so it's better. I do love it. I think over time you just get to know people in the area. I mean, I grew up in like Ottawa, which is a small city. So this is all
Yeah.
new to me.
Um, I don't know how I want to phrase this, but I want to talk about the idea of just being a photographer that tries to sell work. I was having a conversation last night. I said I had dinner with a gallery, and they were talking about the kind of work they sell. And they're like, yeah, we have a really hard time selling anything that's a photograph. Just like people want paintings, or drawings. And do you I don't know. Do you maybe regret that you do photograph? I don't think you should. You're amazing at it, but like I don't know anything about the world of photography and trying to sell it. Like, do you find it very like hard to sell your work and stand out?
Yeah, so my gallerist also said that. He said it's similar to like modern art back in the day when it was new, where people don't really understand it. They
Hmm.
don't understand that it's not like there. That's why video is so important because it helps contextualize it. It is really hard, I think, for people to sell. Um, I think if you're doing concepts where you have big sets and you're constructing a lot of stuff and you can explain it to someone, it's not so hard of a sell. But if you have something on a wall with no context, then a lot of people are really confused and they might
Yeah,
be like interested in it, but they're not going to spend $1,200 on it. They need to have
yeah,
the explanation. That's really important for photography, I think. Um, but
that's good advice.
yeah, some people work around that by doing like photo series, which help because that is basically a visual way of explaining what's going on in the photos. Um,
Hmm.
but a lot of people don't make, yeah, they don't sell prints very often because it's difficult.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, you really have to stand out, don't you? And I mean, I mean, you are, so that's good. I don't know if I have any other questions. Do you have any advice for anyone listening that may be trying to break out as a photographer or anything like that?
The most important thing is definitely focusing on like one skill set that you have. So let's say you're really good at making people feel comfortable, or bringing out something in a person. Focus on that instead of worrying about your equipment. Or if you're really good at building sets, focus on that instead of buying expensive equipment. There's opportunity cost in, like, let's say you buy a $3,000 lens. Think about what you could spend $3,000 on in your photo that would make it really interesting or show a unique perspective. The other thing is access to stories. That's what my professor told me. Access to stories is the most important thing. If you have access to a person that no one else gets to talk to, spend all of your time and money trying to talk to that person. So in my case, I think living in a rural area, a lot of artists live in urban centers. So that is my unique voice now. And back when I was in university, what people found really interesting about my photography, which was not very good, was just the fact that I got to go and travel a few times with an influencer that, like, who lived a lifestyle that not many people have access to. And that probably gave me the confidence to continue photography in general, even though my photos were not that good.
God, how did you end up? How did you get that job in the beginning with the influencer?
I just got the job because I was someone you could tolerate for long periods of time in a confined space that wouldn't drive you crazy.
All right, fair enough. Do you? You can. I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know who this is, but let's just remove that human being and just use them as a placeholder for doing your first job photographing an influencer, any influencer, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a good idea for you, or do you regret it? Like, I think doing jobs like that are really important in the beginning. Like, whether or not you like the person you work with, or you think it's a great job, you probably learned like how to deal with a client, and like you got to practice photographing. And I just think so many young artists, they want to be the Sage that's today, but the Sage today had to do the influencer shoots and all that stuff to get there. Like, I had to work in car insurance because I had a headset on and I had my hands free so I could draw for years doing commissions. That's how I got started. Like, you have to do all the stuff beforehand before you can be the thing. I guess that's a weighted question because I asked you a question. I told you my opinion, but sorry. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say as well, like, to your point, when I started, I literally would take any job. Like, as if it paid, I would just do it if it was related to video editing, um, copywriting for video. I literally edited porn videos, like, or just anything. And I was just a good sport about it. And I would I'd put my all into it because it's very exciting to work in this field. Like, um, so you should just, sorry, I'm shivering a little. Wait, 1 second, 1 second. I'm just
Okay.
gonna go like this. I
I'm
gotta
not
warm
taking
up a
this
little bit
out. I'm not taking this out. We're keeping this in.
because it's actually just so distracting.
We have
Okay,
like 3 minutes left. We're so close to the end.
okay, good.
This was the
No,
last
not good,
question.
but like, so, uh, yeah, so you just want to be a really good sport and do things that are vaguely related to what you want to do. It's really like roundabout, like what you said. Like, you have a job literally where you just have your hands free, and that's enough because you have the time to practice and think about things.
Yeah.
Um, and it's sort of the same for me, where I was just like vaguely tangentially related to what I wanted to do. And also, you
Mhm.
learn like what you suck at, which I'm not good at interpersonal. I'm not an like, I don't have good people skills. So I learned that the hard way by shooting for this poor woman. And from that, like, that's what kind of spawned a lot of the self-portraiture probably. So if I hadn't done work for her, maybe I wouldn't have done self-portraiture. I don't know. And
Got
then
it.
that,
I think you have
yeah.
great personal skills. I
Oh,
I
thank
love talking to you. Like, what's great about you is, like, when you meet someone new, normally they're just very guarded and they don't like say what they're thinking, but you just like say exactly what's on your mind, and it's amazing. I think you have great personal skills, interpersonal skills.
thank you.
Um, we can wrap this up. Go get warm. Thank you for agreeing to do this in your barn so we can see your animals. I know you're very
Yeah,
cold.
of course.
Thank you so
100%.
much. I'll let you get out of here so you can go warm up.
Wait, I wanted to tell. Okay, so this is funny because I might post it later, but you mentioned cannibalism like last time I saw you in
When did I
Miami.
mention that? Oh
You just
yeah.
like randomly started talking about cannibalism, and what's so funny is I think
Hold on,
so.
before you say that, hold on. What was the context for everyone listening? I vaguely remember talking about cannibalism, but I don't remember why I was talking about it.
What was the context? Oh, what like why it's socially unacceptable?
Oh, why? Yeah, like if someone
Yeah,
offered me, this is horrible, but like if someone offered me to eat a person, I would because I just want to try it. I don't have a fetish to eat people. I don't
yeah,
fantasize about. But like if someone's like, "Would you like to try what human tastes like?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I would." All right,
yeah,
go
just to
ahead.
see. So
Yeah.
I did. It's just funny because I think that um I shot an entire video basically where I cannibalized myself. Um, and I think it's related to art because I think it's because I saw one of your paintings where there's like a whole bunch of creatures going into your body.
Uh
And so
huh.
that evolved, like that inspired my piece. And then, um, but like as artists, like you're constantly, what you're talking about, like being genuine and stuff. And I've noticed that's often what people like about the photos is they're like, it looks as if you're I'm looking at a photo of you and you're not self-conscious at all, basically. Um, and just cold. But I'm trying to get a point across, which is that like a lot of time I think artists we have to like cannibalize ourselves as content, and it can be like a really brutal experience. I think for young people, like when you show your work for the first time, it's can be extremely hard because people will interpret what almost feels like your guts as something completely different from what you intended it to be. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know where I was going with this, but I just thought it was funny that you were talking about cannibalism. I'm like, dude, I just shot a whole video about that.
That's a good metaphor.
I just
All
wanted to
right.
tell you.
Well, fair enough. Let's wrap this up. Go get warm. Thank you so much. I'm glad we finally got to record this. Tell your goats goodbye for me. Sage, I'll talk
Okay,
to you next time. How do you pronounce your last name? Let's end with your last name. I don't know how to pronounce it.
it's Szkabarnicki-Stuart.
Why did you have to even think about it yourself? Skabarnicki. Stuart.
I always roll my eyes because it drives me nuts, but I've refused to change it.
Sorry.
So
Yeah, fine. No, it's your name. Fuck it. It's good.
yeah,
Thank you so much, Sage. I'll talk to you next time. Go get warm.
thank you. Okay,
Yep. See ya.
bye, Matt.
All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe you have questions or opinions about what we talked about on this episode. Maybe you have your own questions about your art career or are just looking for some advice. Shoot us an email and we'll answer your questions on a future episode. You can email us directly on our website, cleanbreakpodcast.com. And just a reminder that all our past episodes are available there, as well as a ton of free resources, guides, and tips on how to make more money with your art and get more people interested. This podcast is produced by Elijah Walsh, theme song by Ditch David, additional research by Ikram Dadar. I want to thank Patrick, Jason, and the Always Art team. My name is Matt Gondek. I'll crash you next time.